Okay, so you could do a couple.
Okay, I will. I do. Yeah. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Greetings, precious, beautiful spirit soul that you are. This is the greatest work in the world, you know, because it's about you. My topic: the slippery slope of the 7 deadly mistakes. Mistakes. The slippery slope. It's what takes us down. It's what brings suffering and violence and sickness into a person's existence. Nothing ever happens to you. And those of you who are meditators, those of you who are, you know what I'm talking about, because you are the witness. And you're eternal and can never be harmed or hurt. And I love what the Vedas say, that you're brighter than 10,000 suns and smaller. Let's say 10,000 of us can fit on the end of a piece of hair. That's how small we are, yet we pervade through this body and expressing. Now, they call these the 7 deadly sins, but sin is also means missing the mark, or you missed the point, you made a mistake. And we can make mistakes. The key is to correct. Once you do make a mistake, to put in the correction instead of hide it or pretend you didn't, or justify ourselves and blame somebody else. It's all this kind of stuff. And the real key is that it's in taking and owning who you are and your relationship with the divine, your eternal self, and having a magnificent life. That means, and you are life. That means now and forever. Because this is who you are, an eternal being, is to recognize these 7 deadly mistakes. And why deadly is because it promotes the birth-death belief system. And you don't die and you're not born, but people don't get that. Well, the body is, and yeah, but you didn't come in brand new. You got into that body. And usually, as I understand, most of the time we hang around the same people over and over. I've also let all my family members know that I'm not coming back. I'm not that. I've got not even back. I'm not projecting that reality. And we're always together. That's always if you're going to lose the people you love, you're going to hang on to it, and you're going to have the nostalgia and want to make sure you do all the old stuff and all that kind of thing over and over again. So that's all the mind, to keep you promoting and producing a 3D, 5D, 4D, 7D reality, whatever D you want. Big deal. But you're not that. Know that. You're not that. Now let's see, what are the 7 deadly mistakes, okay? Gluttony, that means eating more than you need, and that's because of the tongue. And the tongue is the hardest to control for what we eat and what we say. And yet you want to speak sweet words, because so many people they get really hurt. And a lot of people, they don't even let themselves recover from what they've been told or said, that they're maybe not good enough, not lovable, they're a failure in life, and all these terrible things that have been said to them by people they respect or they honor, or some maybe so-called authority that they're writing your life. They're the author of who you are and what you believe. So the gluttony, and I know for me that started with fasting. It started with learn about how your body functions. And it isn't about, and also taking off weight. People say, yeah, you're beautiful with all of the weight. Yeah, but it puts all that weight and energy on the organs of your body. And then you see all these people, the body gets all stretched out, and they got to cut off all the flesh because it's all hanging there, and all that is because of the tongue. And because it's satisfying, we feel comfortable, we enjoy it, and yet also with the tongue, the things that people say and what they're uttering all the time, because they're cursing themselves with their words. So gluttony, I've been a glutton. myself, I had enormous appetite in different things and getting so much satisfaction from the eating, from the food, okay? Now, when I also started changing that, doesn't mean you deny yourself what's wonderful. Most of the really wonderful richness of food to eat is all actually really natural and goodness. It just depends on when you eat it and when you have it and that sort of thing. And that's how I got over rheumatoid arthritis, because I found out what the cause was. And I was living in India at the time. So I changed what I was doing, and the arthritis disappeared, and that was many, many years ago. I say that was probably about 12 years ago, and that's gone. So anyway, anger. Yeah, you can be justified in your anger. Anger means you felt hurt, you felt rejected, somebody didn't respect you, somebody took your stuff, someone told somebody else something, lie about you. So whatever the anger is, they're trying, and to get all this anger going. Well, what it does, the anger also cuts off, just like fear does, cuts off your immune system. And it puts you in, like if, say, I know this person, they're tweeting anger all the time at hating personalities out there in the world, in the government, and all these kind of things. But they don't realize that what they're doing to themselves, and the person's sick in the body, diseased. And because this influences that, but they don't know that. They think they're justified in the anger and the resentment and the hate. Well, yeah, you can be justified, but it's attacking you because you're hating yourself. That's the big key, is I hate myself. So if I can get everybody to be like me, then I'll finally feel good about myself instead of I'm weird and strange and they don't like me and they reject me. So I'll hate them and be angry. So that's, see, the opposite of like in this world is dislike. There is no opposite to absolute love. That's who you are. Anyway, we more about that. Envy. What is envy? Envy is the belief that you cannot manifest what you want, and that other people have it and you don't. But then it also keys everybody in to why the media is so big on magazines and newspapers and articles and books and all glorifying people with enormous amounts of money, enormous amounts of material things, that they do things to their bodies and to their lives and to this and that, and they're always promoted out there, celebrities. These are paid actors, paid people who get paid for acting roles and communicating whatever it is that the person who is their boss, who pays them money and gives them the perks they want to be famous and to be all this kind of a thing. I've done that. And I didn't realize what I was doing, but I realized that was not the world I wanted to live in, because I'm a nature spirit person, and that's what I like. So anyway, so that is envy. And when you own who you are, if someone is doing something that you want and they're happy, say, that's for me. Don't be going, they're happy and I'm not, and I hate them and I'm miserable and I envy they have that car and I want to have that car because they think they're better than I am, and if I had one I could feel good enough. I finally feel good enough because I got the car. Lust. Lust is like envy, but lust is, I want to get something off you. I'm lusting for something, your flesh. I'm lusting for your lips, your tongue. I'm lusting for your toes. I'm lusting for the food that you're eating. I'm lusting for the house you live in. I'm lusting for your dress. I'm lusting. I'm lusting. I want it. I want it. I want it. You see people that have become consumers. That you're not called now a citizen. You're now a consumer, and you better consume. Because you're a consumer. I'm not. I'm a living entity. I'm a divine being. And none of those labels are you. And they're not me. This is the greatest work in the world. This is where your investment needs to be. Into the study, into reading, into listening, into working. And most people, they don't want to do the deep work, so they never get the richness. They never get the power. They never get the knowing and the freedom and the liberation and who they are and the joy of being. And more than that, you have no fear. Okay, lust. You say, that's for me, I'd like that. Okay, sloth. And that sloth is kind of a laziness. Remember those poor little sloths? They're not really lazy. They're just kind of those little creatures are kind of slow, and you might call them a, couch. Somebody sits on the sofa all day and watches TV. Blah, could be worse because they're sloth and they're lazy. Nothing's clean. Nothing taken care of it. It's just. It's just consuming. Well, that's fine. You want to do that, but the food, the stuff you're taking in, that's making you sick. It's knocking you off. It's confusing you. You don't know who you are. Come on, okay. Pride. Pride's cool. Pride always comes before the fall. So what does that mean? It's taking credit for being the doer when you're not the doer. People don't get that. Well, I'm doing it, and I made this happen. I'm the one. I did this. I'm the one. I glorify myself. I did it. It's my idea. You can't go there. It's my idea. It's mine. What? Just comes from the mind in that world, but in divine wisdom. And who makes it happen? It isn't. You're not the doer. No. But you are the consciousness of the doing. But when pride, we want to take the credit. And a lot of people say, well, the universe did this for me, because they don't want to say the divine. They don't want to acknowledge there's a supreme being, supreme source that we are part of, beyond this world, beyond this virtual reality projection that we're projecting of a copy of the real. And you can perceive the truth and the real if you have eyes of perception. And you perceive the spirit behind everything, and you know who you are. You're in a spiritual world then. You're not in a virtual reality, because you're not allowing the mind to dictate you, or the mind of others, or the literature, or the intellectuals, or the religions, or the government, or any of these people to dictate to who you are, so that you then fit, so you could work on an assembly line at a fast food restaurant with your college degree, because you got the box on your head, you follow the directions, wee-haw, you fit in, big deal. Greed and miserliness. See, it's interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So greed. And the greed is that we never get enough. And that greed of always wanting more. And that's because you're trying to solve your problems with the mind. And the mind makes problems. That's why it exists. And it keeps us locked into these words, these sounds. They are sounds, with meanings given them that are projected on a huge level of consciousness that produces hive mentality. And that you are no more than an insect. And you are working in an ant farm as an ant. Sorry about that. But that's not who you are. And yet you can play any role, because you can conform, because you can learn to be that way. You can follow the direction. You can act like a machine and a robot if you want. You can believe that, but it's not who you are. So watch out for that slippery slope that starts taking you down further and further and further into the misery of the mind tormenting you endlessly with fear and guilt and shame and hope and maybe and criticism and judgment and all of these things going on all the time, tormenting the person because they believe it, instead of meditating, instead of doing their spiritual work, instead of getting the clues and applying it, and to do the deep work. This is deep work. All right, my darling? So let go of the slippery slope. Free yourself from all of that and know the truth that always is and all is well.